Today, I would like to bring to the attention of people something, well, comes as no surprise to myself or a number of other people, but it's to do with Tony Blair. Now, this is the man, Tony Blair, when he was a Prime Minister and when he was in a position to help the innocent victims, not only of Northern Ireland, but in other parts of the United Kingdom, who suffered in the likes of the Canary Wharf bombing, Harrods bombing, numerous other bombings that took place and murdered quite a few people on the mainland as well. Whenever we were fighting the case with Libya, and we even got it to the stage of into the courts in America, one of the senators actually said to me, it must be 4 years ago now, Willie, why should we help you when your own government is doing nothing? Now, that was at that stage. I have to say that now, or even from when Gordon Brown took over, but as from Gordon took over, he did actually move, and they got the Foreign Office involved, and things have moved on greatly. And especially now that we have David Cameron in and Mr. Haig, they seem to be doing as much as they can to bring this to some type of closure, and hopefully we will have news shortly. With that all said, this man, Tony Blair, while he was Prime Minister and in a position to help the victims, what was he doing? He was helping himself to a job that pays millions of pounds per year, which was working with the Libyan government. Now, that's fair enough on his own, if that's what he was doing, if that's the way he seen himself going. But at the same time, he sent our young men and women to Iraq and Afghan to be killed, or to lose limbs, or to have their lives destroyed. And he could not find it in his heart to speak up for the victims who have suffered at the hands of the IRA terrorists in Northern Ireland or within the United Kingdom. It's unbelievable. And like we see here, where a letter writ by Tony Blair in a 325 million Libyan oil deal. We see another one here where he's involved in a takeover, well, sorry, not a takeover, where he's involved in buying shares within the Financial Times, I believe it is, 3%, or to be exact, 3.01%. He's also he's a special advisor to Gaddafi's son. Now, we have nothing against Colonel Gaddafi at this stage now. Hopefully relations have improved and things are hopefully coming to some type of situation whereby we are going to see proper recognition for the victims, and the Libyan government are going to come up to the mark, and I have to congratulate them for taking the stance that they're now taking. Now, with that all said, Mr. Blair has to answer why he used his position to promote himself into a job that he was going to make millions out of, while at the same time he cared nothing whatsoever about the victims here in Northern Ireland. He cared nothing about the people who were lying with their legs missing, or arms missing, or loved ones who had not only one or two, but sometimes 4, 5, 6 members of their family murdered by the IRA, who were supplied weapons and explosives and money by Libya. Has the man no conscience? Or what is going on in this country? We're now going to ask Mr. Cameron, because to be fair to Mr. Brown, I believe he did start a process that is going to come to some type of settlement, and it will be for the betterment of Libya and for the innocent victims in the United Kingdom. But with that said, I believe that we have the right people in government now. Mr. Haig made promises before he went into government, and he's actually followed up on them. His first day into government, he followed up on them promises. So we can't ask for better than that. But we do ask why this man did what he did. Why he did not support us. Because remember, in this legal case in the United States that the Americans won and got a settlement out of, that we had a similar case and the Americans in that case have already received their settlement, but anybody from the UK who was a British citizen could not benefit out of that settlement. Why? Because Tony Blair did nothing to help the people who were involved in that, or the people who were going to benefit from it. So I have to give credit to the Americans, and I have to call for Mr. Cameron to have an investigation into what Mr. Blair was actually doing while he was Prime Minister. Was there a conflict of interest here? Did he use his position to better himself and not give a stuff about the people who have suffered some of the worst or horrendous injuries that anybody should ever have to live with? Why he didn't care about them? Well, it's not good enough. And Mr. Blair, you may have been Prime Minister and you may have made a lot of money while you were in that job. You're now making millions off the backs of the people who were murdered. And you sent soldiers to Iraq and Afghan, and you got involved in a war that you give no consideration for what would come back in the coffins or on the medical beds or whatever. You didn't care, because you've quite clearly said that in what you have done with the people of the United Kingdom when it came to IRA terrorism. You should be ashamed of yourself. But we intend to follow this up, and we intend to make sure that we get an answer.